Miss Destiny Diamond, WWE is in some hot water with the fans. Let's talk about it. And starting off the list with probably the hottest reason, probably the most boilingest water, if I could paraphrase Destiny Diamond's ridiculous quotes she does sometimes, because she doesn't know how to speak with words. R-Truth has been not quite released. The official quotations going around have been, I believe, from R-Truth himself, has been, I have been released from my contract. The actual case in point here is that he's not released, but they told him they are not renewing his contract when it is up. As of the time of filming this, we do not know when that is. So technically, R-Truth could be on TV for the next 3 months. Before his contract is up, we have no idea. But as it stands right now, R-Truth is not going to be renewed for his tenureship at the World Wrestling Entertainment. If you're wondering why I'm giving you that
with
look.
It not sounding good.
It's There's a couple videos coming out in the next couple days, and I go off about it. It's a thing. All right, Destiny, R-Truth.
You're gonna want to see it. Anyway, we are in mourning, and we are grieving the loss of the one and only R-Truth from WWE television. Now, let me say, this obviously, as we all know, makes no sense. He is one of the most beloved members of the WWE locker room by fans and fellow superstars alike. Now, I did read that the reason his contract is not being renewed, I read that he was given a lowball offer and declined it, which is great. Always know your worth. But then they said, all right, you're not going to sign. We're not renewing your contract. So that is what I'm hearing. Obviously, like you said he was released, but it sounds like that's not necessarily the case. But, you know, it gets people's attention, and it is essentially the same thing with he's losing his job, just like a release. It's all in the same vein, and it's very unfortunate. What makes this the most surprising is the fact that he just faced the greatest of all time, 17-time world champion John Cena at Saturday night's main event. He had the #1 best-selling t-shirt on WWE Shop that has since been pulled, and I didn't get to get one, and I'm furious about it. But I digress. The fact that this man has won more championships in history in WWE than any other man because of the 24/7 title. The fact that this man is so beloved by fans and his coworkers, and this man has brought us some of the greatest moments in history ever.
Not only that,
it just shows, yeah.
The Saturday night's main event against John Cena is actually the highest rated Saturday night's main event since its return from its initial broadcasts. Yeah. So this did better viewership-wise than any Saturday night's main event in recent history.
And I've even said this is in my top 5 favorite John Cena matches of all time. Because of the gimmickiness and the silliness, it's amazing. It's not like it's, greatest match of all time. Oh my gosh, it's a technical classic. It's a show-stopping match. It was everything it needed to be. Similarly to Joe Hendry and Randy Orton. But the way that the story was told, with R-Truth finally facing off with his childhood hero, John Cena, in this iteration of his career, and John Cena where he is in his career, it was so brilliantly done. It was so perfectly done. And the fact that they are getting rid of him immediately off the heels of that monumental moment and these monumental merch sales just shows the direction that WWE under the TKO umbrella is going, and I don't like it, nor does anyone else. I don't have much faith in the current leadership. I don't think this is Triple H's doing. I think that this is above him, unfortunately. But he's not innocent in all of this. I'm not going to say that. But I'm seeing a lot of loss to this organization, that people aren't seeing the worth in the little details, and it's pissing me off because R-Truth has been a solid and consistent member of WWE for over 15 years and even into the 90s. As K-Quick. And the fact that they're getting rid of him so unceremoniously is bullshit. And something that I do need to touch on is somebody pointed out he semi-hinted at this happening during his match with John Cena. Now, obviously, we know it wasn't necessarily what he was trying to do, but the fact that he came out and held up his John Cena towel that says the last time is now.
Sad.
How
really
poetic
sad.
that is and how horrible that is. It's just, it's so poetic and it's so terrible. But if his final match, his final important moment with us is against his childhood hero, I couldn't think of a better way to do it except for, you know, a proper send-off. But what can we just talk about how much WWE as an entity would have gained if they had made this a title versus career match? What that would do for Cena and what that would do for R-Truth? How insane that would be.
The big problem I had was the Cena thing was great. I was looking forward, and I even mentioned on the podcast leading up to the news of his release that I was looking forward to the Jimmy Uso involvement with everything going on with Jimmy Uso and R-Truth in the lead up to this, because I specifically mentioned I didn't think it was going to go back to Solo Sikoa and JC Mateo and Jacob Fatu, but I did think it was going to tie into Jimmy perhaps being involved in the tag team match with Jey Uso against John Cena. That Cody Rhodes is in that spot. I did think it was going to be a 3-on-3 triple threat, and I thought Jimmy would be taking the place of R-Truth, so to speak, saying, hey, you knocked down my man when he was out. I'm here to not only defend his honor, but join my brother in this battle there. And so the fact that R-Truth's last appearance on WWE TV was him literally bringing back Lil Jimmy. They showed him talking to Lil Jimmy, and then Big Jimmy came out to save his ass after the after-match beatdown. I was so pumped to get to see where that story was going and to get to see Jimmy's re-involvement with Solo Sikoa and how that was all going to play out. And now all of that's just up in the air. What the hell? They're probably going to continue Jimmy and Solo, but are they going to bring back up R-Truth, or is he just off TV now because of the We Want Truth chants that took over parts of Monday Night Raw? Are they going to be scared to show him on SmackDown? So now they're just going to pretend like he never existed to try to get the audience to forget it as quickly as possible. That is my biggest fear.
Yeah. And I have to say, you know, I am not saying anything against the man. I love the man, and I'm not saying he did anything wrong. But what I'm wondering is if he was alerted of this news that his contract would not be renewed, but they were still going to write it out. They were still going to show him on TV. They were still going to, you know, continue with the story. But then he took to Twitter to make it public. Not that he did anything wrong, but I wonder if him going public with this news is going to take him off of TV. But I also wonder if him speaking out about this publicly provided courage and the ability to two other stars who are in the same boat as R-Truth. Of course, the first one we're talking about, none other than Judgment Day member and Puerto Rican legend Carlito, who has already packed up his PS5 and WWE 2K25 copy and taken it home with him. What are your thoughts on Carlito right now?
When Carlito came back, I said, why?
Yep.
And now that Carlito has been released, I'm saying the same fucking thing. Because he carved a unique niche for himself where my biggest fear is that Carlito and R-Truth share very, very similar qualities in the fact that they enhance the comedy aspect of WWE in a non-hokey, non-cheesy way better than almost anybody else. R-Truth just Saturday night's main event against John Cena. Right? He's delusional. He has been delusional for the last 15 years, but he's still been a legitimate. He fucking was it Shinsuke Nakamura he beat for the U.S. Championship by accident?
Yes!
Yeah, he's been that guy where you could plug him in any situation and he can make anybody look good, but not only make them look good on television in terms of matchups, but he's been the one who can add extra dynamic to when people hated Brock, and it's Brock's gonna go in and he's gonna. Despite the fact that he is the current champion, the current world champion, he's going to be in the Royal Rumble this year. So that way he can just take WrestleMania off. People hated Brock Lesnar. And then you send R-Truth out there, who now makes Brock Lesnar look like a more three-dimensional character because R-Truth makes him break on TV. That's the power that R-Truth had that nobody else can do, is you could put anybody in a promo with R-Truth and they would leave that promo looking like 10 times more interesting a character. Look at the backstage shenanigans he did on, was it Raw Talk? It might have been on Raw Talk. It might have been on one of the pre-shows with Shayna Baszler.
It might have been.
Where they got into an argument.
Was it Talking Smack?
It might have been Talking Smack.
Might have been Talking Smack.
Shayna Baszler and R-Truth got into an argument over like food or something.
Fish.
But it was
fish.
So funny. It was so good. But it changed my whole opinion on Shayna Baszler. Didn't change my whole opinion, but it made me think a lot more highly of Shayna Baszler because I finally got to see personality out of her and not just I'm the badass kick-ass that we always see her as. So the fact that that's gone with R-Truth, and now it's going to be gone with Carlito over on Raw because he was the perfect foil. I was so excited to see how his mini one-sided romance with Raquel was going to play out, who he was going to side with in terms of Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and how that was going to play out. How all of these pieces were going to align, and how Carlito had just kind of like weaseled and wormed his way in here, and you're like, oh, I wonder what his intentions are. And his intentions are, I just want to fucking play my PS5 and eat snacks in the clubhouse and be a cool kid. Was the most unexpected fucking win of 2024. And the fact that it's now gone is ridiculous, and it takes so much away from Judgment Day, because now Judgment Day has, you just lost the whole comedy aspect of the group. That's pretty much gone now.
And can we also talk about how R-Truth was the one that put Judgment Day on the map to begin with? Tom and Nick Mysterio? You're not in the Judgment Day, JD.
Hold on. Oh my god, I think El Grande Americano is actually Nick Mysterio.
I thought it was Tom. What do you mean it's Nick?
Hold on. Maybe there's three. Maybe Tom is... Okay, Nick is El Grande Americano and Tom is Braun Strowman's mystery tag team partner. I think we finally solved it. In the lead up, I think it was WrestleMania 34.
It was either 33 or 34. I know it was New
Braun
Orleans,
Strowman.
But it was so good. It was the Bar.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Versus the Bar. And the whole lead up to Mania was Braun Strowman is going to have a mystery tag team partner. And people were like, Rey Mysterio's going to come back. Or who the hell had been injured for a long time? Adrian Neville. Neville had been gone out for a long time with his injury. And they're like, Neville's going to come back and be his partner. And no, so me and Destiny...
He had this segment where he came out... He had this segment where he came out and he's like, I'm bringing out my brother, Brains. And he comes out wearing glasses and he's like, I'm Brains Strowman and I'm going to be Braun Strowman's mystery tag team partner. But it was so good, and I can't believe it's been this long.
Me and Destiny had a whole bit where... And we still text each other every like 3 months where we'll randomly just be like, oh my god... What if Darby Allin is Braun Strowman's mystery tag team partner? Just the most like insane out of nowhere names where like to this day we still bring it up. It's one of our favorite. Oh my god,
what if the Wicked for Good trailer is Braun Strowman's mystery tag team partner?
Yeah, we get wild with it. I'm just really upset about this because Carlito was unique in the sense of he was big. Everybody in the Judgment Day is pretty fucking small. Finn Balor isn't a big guy. JD McDonough is not a big guy. Dominic Mysterio isn't a big guy, so Carlito's buff as hell. So Carlito would come out and he was a physically dominating presence. You look at his interference at Mania, Carlito came out and you were like, oh shit, like hold on, maybe he's not just a comedy guy. So he walked a really fine line of being able to be a comedy character, but also be able to be serious when they needed a serious character. And that whole element is just gone from Judgment Day now.
Actually, I think it's pretty hard.
Okay. Relax, ma'am.
Yeah.
Relax.
No, and I'm with you. When Carlito was brought back, I said why. I've never been a Carlito fan. But ever since he joined the Judgment Day and has served as the comedic relief after the unceremonious dumping of R-Truth, of course, it's It's hard because he provided so many little one-liners, and also with him playing 2K25 in the background added so much dimension to their clubhouse, and it was also a shameless plug for WWE 2K25. It was perfect. And then how they were just now starting to explore him and Raquel and her credit card and all that stuff, and then them teaching Dominic Mysterio about time zones. It was brilliant, and now we're going to have that missing piece that even if Finn and JD and Liv and Raquel are all trying to keep up with those silly little things like time zones, like, you know, whatever little comedic things that they touch on, it's not going to be the same because you don't have Carlito with you to add his genius and his comedic timing.
And Carlito literally just won a championship this past weekend. He won... Hold on. He wins WWC Puerto Rico Championship in his father's promotion. Yes. And so it was like literally in my Discord, the day R-Truth got announced that he was leaving, I posted up, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. My Discord was talking about it. They're like, wow, I can't believe that happened. And then like 2 hours later, one of the guys in my Discord posts up and says, oh, hey, but check this out. Now another member of Judgment Day is currently holding gold. That's pretty cool. And sends the image of Carlito winning the title. And so I search Carlito, and the article that pops up is Carlito leaving WWE. And I was like, what the fuck? So that lasted. That was pretty cool. I'm upset. I love Carlito. I loved Carlito since day one. 2005, 2006, Carlito was peak entertainment for me.
Can't relate, but I have loved everything he's done with the Judgment Day, and it is very much going to be missed. I think now's the time to pull the plug on the lifeless carcass that is the Judgment Day. It's time. There's nothing left. There's no comedy. The slow descent of the Judgment Day has obviously been cataloged, and it's been seen, but yeah. Now that Carlito's gone, it's not going to be as entertaining. It's going to be intriguing, but it won't be as entertaining in the World Wrestling Entertainment.
See how it doesn't have an impact?
Exactly. Now, another star that will be moving on from WWE would be Sarah Logan, aka Valhalla. Now, if I can be frank, I don't even know the last time I saw her on WWE television, unfortunately. My most recent memory is, of course, the Royal Rumble when R-Truth came out at number 19 when it was supposed to be her. But I know that's not the last time we saw her. It's just the most vivid in my brain. Well,
she just had a second kid. Like, they wrote her off TV, I think, late 2023, and she had a second kid right after she came back.
You're right.
And this broke my heart because the message that... I don't know if you saw the tweet that she sent out.
I did.
Where she said, like, she was crying. She was writing this, like, in her notes on her phone. And how basically she's being... outed from a business that is going to forget she was ever there, essentially.
Yeah.
And this is the problem I have with Sarah Logan, and I file it under the same problem I had with Dakota Kai, in the sense of Sarah Logan she transcended championships in the sense of she was never going to be the top star. We had accepted that. Same with Dakota Kai. She was never going to be the woman. But they had an interesting enough character that they could always be put in contention. Sarah Logan, for the rest of her career as Valhalla, could be put up against you easily. As soon as this Becky Lynch feud is over with and Lyra needs another person to feud with, Sarah Logan could have been a 2-month program for Lyra and nobody would have batted an eye. It would have been, she comes back out, she looks dominant, she does this mini program, and then she's back in the shadows for a while. And you need characters like that. Characters that you can just plug and play, and people who are characters. And Sarah Logan is one of the few women who has history on the roster that the audience can connect to. Sarah Logan's been around since she was with Liv Morgan and
in the Riot
Squad. They debuted together as a group. There is that history there. So now when you want to circle back around to having Liv Morgan have her second comeuppance and the resurgence of Liv Morgan, now she has to fight this demon of her past, and now that story's gone. Now that story is... There's nothing they can do with that. And it's just a shame because Sarah Logan is one of those characters that at any point in time they could have plugged her into a match to help create another star, and it could have went well. She was an imposing figure with a history in the company, and an interesting enough character that she didn't need championship reigns. She was never going to get one, but you still need women like that who you can plug and play. Because now when you need Lyra to beat somebody and do a 2-month program with, now you have to do it with one of your top stars like Julia, like Stephanie, somebody who now has to lose to put over Lyra when you could have had a Sarah Logan in that position instead. So congratulations, WWE, you fucked yourself once again.
She also, in her farewell, talked about how she's going to be transitioning back to herself, and she's going to soar as Sarah. She's going to be taken care of by her husband and her loving children and her loving family. So she's in good hands moving forward, but she will no longer be living out her dream as a WWE superstar. I have to say, you're 100% right. She was one of those characters that was never going to hold a title and was never going to main event. They just have not done anything with her. We've seen her a handful of times, maybe, and obviously, yes, she did just have a baby, but they never utilized her. And anytime they did, it was for a quick second, a little blip, and like she even touched on, it was somewhat forgettable. Obviously, she had a lot of history with Liv Morgan, and she did a lot of incredible things, but she was one of those people that was kind of just flying under the radar and not being used. And unfortunately, this is a cut that I'm not necessarily surprised by nor heartbroken about, because I wasn't seeing her on weekly television, and I wasn't seeing her being showcased, and she hasn't been around for 15 years. It's still heartbreaking that she has lost her job, of course, and she's still a person, and she did a lot of incredible work. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and if you're going to cut someone, you have to kind of cut the people that you don't see on weekly television and aren't being utilized and aren't there to elevate a story. And unfortunately, after the resurgence of the War Raiders being badasses and not even feeding into that supernatural element, Valhalla was not necessary anymore with that story. And she also wore her antlers backwards. So there's that.
What I will say to that is this is a business. And in a business, you have to think about money. The only problem I have with that is I can't remember the last time sales were down. WWE had a negative quarter report. In fact, they're opening every show, throwing it in our faces and shoving it down our throat that this is the most money they have ever made ever. This is the highest ticket sales. This is the highest attendance gate. These are the highest viewing figures. These are the best sponsorships. This is the most money, the most money, the most money. And now you're telling me they don't have $120,000 a year to pay Sarah Logan to do this is fucking insane when they're making buku bucks right now. If they were in any way in a decline, I understand cuts. When you look at it and you're like, hey, we need to make cuts, we need to do this. You don't need to be making cuts such as this when your company is literally breaking every record in terms of profiting that has ever been set before. This is not a time to make cuts. This is a time to acquire talent and to continue to expand your roster and add these. You just acquired AAA wrestling. It is a promotion filled with luchadors. You need different talent over there. Why the hell wouldn't you just send Sarah Logan down there? Having her as a character so vastly different from everybody else over there doing things would be a perfect spot for her. And so they just had a massive talent acquisition. I understand all that. You do have to make cuts eventually. And if Sarah Logan is one of the cuts, I do understand it. But Jesus Christ, shoving all of this information in our face that we're supposed to be proud of them for making the most money ever, and then saying, oh, but feel bad for us, we need to make budget cuts because we're a business, but above all else, you're not getting any fucking feel bad moments from me. Suck a bag of cocks, WWE.
They also won't be getting any money from me because I will not be buying a single WWE shop t-shirt until the R-Truth Ron Cena shirt returns, which I know will not be happening, but fuck all of them, and I know all those extra shirts are ending up in a landfill. And it's bullshit, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And I hope, you said they're not on a decline. I hope that after all this bullshit, they start to decline. Because I know that there are a lot of people that are pissed about this. I know that talent are pissed about this. Getting rid of R-Truth when he is so consistent and he's even in the main event picture right now. Getting rid of him, you don't see the worth in him, and yet you're putting him in every position to be successful, will never make sense to me, especially when he is your number one merch seller and your number one most authentically wonderful person on the roster. I know that there were a lot of people that chose not to watch Raw this past Monday, myself included. I know that there are a lot of people that will not be buying into WWE programming because of this. I hope that more people do it so they do start to either lose money or make less money. But I want everyone to get their attention. So to all of you that started the We Want Truth chants, keep it up. You did amazing. To those of you that brought We Want Truth signs and anything in support of R-Truth, continue to do it. Wear your Ron Cena t-shirts, wear your other R-Truth merchandise. Everyone that is going to a WWE event moving forward, keep it up. Because if there's one thing I know, it's when you make a big enough stink, people need to listen. And we're going to keep it up. And I'm not watching until they make a decision that is right for business and right for this company and everyone in it.
Well, speaking of talent who are upset at WWE's decision to cut R-Truth, The Miz is included in that, as interestingly and worryingly enough, The Miz has removed all reference to WWE out of his Twitter bio, and I am searching right now to verify.
I read that he has also unfollowed WWE on all of his social media on top of the removing of WWE from all of his socials.
Which is very
good for him.
But what my concern is this isn't just an act of, this is an act of solidarity for my friend. I'm worried The Miz might also be one of the names included with Carlito, R-Truth, and Sarah Logan. Dave Meltzer reported that essentially, in terms of looking at superstars who are going to be cut, they are bringing in these newer, younger superstars, and they need to get rid of older names on the roster in order to make room for those. And essentially, you look at stars like R-Truth and you look at stars like Carlito, who are up there in age, and The Miz is right there next to him. Not as old as R-Truth, of course. Let me see The Miz's age.
He was classmates with Abraham Lincoln.
That might be true. John Cena was also his childhood hero. The Miz is 44 years old. So he is up there in age. And so I am very worried that The Miz is actually possibly included in these cuts or is currently in talks with WWE, and they gave him that initial offer saying, hey, sign this, but you're making half of what you were making before.
Yeah. And it is very unfortunate because The Miz has been carrying this company on his back for so long, and he and Truth just had the most wonderful moment at WrestleMania last year, capturing the tag team titles as Awesome Truth. The Miz has done so much for this business, and it's unfortunate to see. I will say, if this is him taking a stand, amazing. I think that it's the right thing. Obviously, it's the right thing to do. I mean, there were superstars that rolled up to Monday. Rhea Ripley herself wore an R-Truth t-shirt to Monday Night Raw this week. And I know that she's not the only one. And I know she's not the only superstar on the roster showing support for R-Truth. Now, if this is an act of defiance from The Miz, and there's not a contract negotiation necessarily, he has nothing to lose, except for his childhood dream, of course, that he has been able to live out for so long, which is amazing. But if The Miz does get booted for it, he's going to be more than fine. He is the new host of American Ninja Warrior. He had
American Gladiators.
Thank you. Same thing. He also had the Miz and Mrs. reality show, and they could make a resurgence at that. He could be a host on a host or a judge on other talent shows. The Miz can do anything and everything, and no matter what, he will be fine. He's also got a smoking hot wife and 2 beautiful daughters. The Miz is going to be okay no matter what. And hopefully, if he does go away, maybe he'll come back in the future, because he's The Miz and he's awesome. I do want to say, though, something that I read, don't quote me on this, but when it was being reported that The Miz unfollowed WWE and removed them from all of his socials, and people were like, oh my god, like, he's leaving, Sean Ross Sapp tweeted and said, and I quote, "This is nothing. There's nothing here." So, I'm just saying, quite often, Dave Meltzer is shit, but also, I mean, he didn't personally name drop Miz necessarily, but I'm just saying. Hopefully that is the case, that it's nothing and he will be sticking around, and that he is making a stand for his friend. However, if he is on his way out, he has had one hell of a career, and I can only hope and pray that they send him off with a proper goodbye. Unlike R-Truth, and unlike Carlito, and unlike Sarah Logan.
Yeah. Tying in kind of with what I said about the WWE greed machine that they have continued to prove to be, Destiny, have you heard about the new Slim Jim sponsorship the WWE has accrued here? Because I'm pissed.
I don't know all the details. I do know that they're getting a primetime spot on the fucking tables, but also I've seen the images of Jey Uso's gear featuring Slim Jim.
Yeah, it's...
It's ludicrous.
Why wouldn't you do Jimmy Uso? That's just bad.
That's bad marketing. Bad business model.
The fact that they are now going to start... And it's on the folding tables, by the way. So every time they're pulling out a folding table to put somebody through in the ring, it is now going to be a giant Slim Jim logo. And WWE has already coined the term of they're going to snap them in like a Slim Jim when they put someone through the table. So get ready to be... It's the new version of "It's Boss Time" from Michael Cole every time Sasha Banks comes out. WWE and these fucking brand deals are becoming a caricature of wrestling. And it's moments like this where I miss Vince. And I can't believe I would ever say that. But Vince would not do this. And there was a reason, is because certain parts of wrestling should be sacred. And the last thing the audience should be thinking about when a match is getting brutal to the point where people are being put through tables is fucking brand deals of, I'm hungry for a Slim Jim. Not, oh my god, Drew McIntyre's face just went through that fucking table from a stomp from Seth Rollins. It takes away so much from the match. And tables, not as much. But what are you going to do when there's a fucking McDonald's logo on every steel chair people are getting hit in the back from? And when you have kendo sticks that are actually fucking wrapped with the Yankees logo on the side. And it's a slippery slope. And as you already heard, Jey Uso has the sponsorship on his shorts. And then what's next? We already have this match is sponsored by Dude Wipes. How long until it's this superstar is sponsored by Dude Wipes? And this superstar is sponsored by this, and...
We had something similar with Brock Lesnar being sponsored by Jimmy John's, to be fair. But also, we did have LA Knight also being like the new face of Slim Jim with the Slim Jim mobile or whatever the fuck you wanted to call it. And he was in all the commercials with Bianca Belair advertising Slim Jim. Now, I am not a fan of the Slim Jim logo being on tables. However, the one good thing I can see coming of this is it will finally kill those horrendous "We Want Tables" chants. If it's a TLC match and you have chairs and you have ladders or you have just any sort of match and you have weapons already out, shut the fuck up. Tables are not that great. They're fine. They're entertaining. But a ladder is so much better. A chair is so much more versatile and actually usable. Shut up about the damn tables. I'm sick and tired of "We Want Tables" chants, and hopefully this puts them to bed.
Put them to sleep. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And continuing on with the greed aspect is the rocketing ticket prices for all WWE events, which has kind of started this transcend into WWE sucks mentality. Is as the WrestleMania ticket prices were released, fans were seeing how ridiculously priced these tickets were, and how you're paying several tens of thousands of dollars for really good seats. And Randy Orton was chatting with a fan in a hotel lobby, and he himself heard how much they paid, and he said he was embarrassed by the company charging that much. And when one of your top talents is saying that, it should speak volumes. It should speak volumes about your product there. Insane.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, as somebody who went to WrestleMania 10 years ago and just went this year, I can speak to this. The nosebleeds, they used to be $50, $75. They were $400 or $450 for nosebleeds at WrestleMania. And that's just one night of WrestleMania. That's not even both nights. Now, obviously, 2 nights is a lot more than one. However, back when WrestleMania was a one-night event, it was an 8, maybe even 10-hour event. My dad and I were at WrestleMania for 8 hours, and we didn't even get to see the first match at WrestleMania 32. I'm thinking 8 hours, excuse me. But you got so much more bang for your buck back then with one-night WrestleManias. Now, I will admit, it's great because it gives the opportunity to showcase more superstars. I love that. I always will advocate for that. But with these ticket prices, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, the seats that I got back at 32 were probably $1,000 a piece. It was insane and it was ridiculous. And there's no reason for these hikes. Now, I can understand inflation. I can understand increasing it a tiny bit. But doubling, tripling, quadrupling your ticket prices just so you can have your richer fans in the audience is bullshit. Because they're not the ones that care. Some of them, yeah, sure, whatever. But this needs to be more accessible to your casual fans and your hardcore fans that don't work for a billion-dollar corporation, that don't have those illustrious careers that pay $1 million. You have so many hardcore fans that are working at McDonald's or working in construction or working in janitorial positions or working as teachers or any other job that is underpaid, and they now no longer have the opportunity to come and support the people they love the most, and that is your superstars. It is absolute bullshit that people have to take out a mortgage on their fucking house just to come to WrestleMania. Not that anyone should ever do that. I would never advocate for that. Don't do that. That's stupid.
Oops.
But I spent a pretty penny so that I could see John Cena in his final WrestleMania match. So, I'm not one to talk, but I certainly didn't break the bank. I dug into savings a tiny bit, and we also got $83 flights. So, we were able to budget it, but not everybody has that ability, and there are people that absolutely deserve to be at WrestleMania, or at any WWE event for that matter, that don't have the ability to because they're not rich and swimming in cash. It's not fair.
Speaking of rich and swimming in cash, brings me to the final WWE in hot water point, which is, as you are continuing to release stars such as R-Truth, Carlito, Sarah Logan, and possibly The Miz, and maybe others as well. Again, at the time of recording this, these are the 3.5 names that have kind of been either reported fully or teased. But the celebrity appearances just keep on coming. They just keep on coming through, and it really makes you wonder, what are we doing? Yeah. Because WWE is turning into a product in terms of trying to appeal to the most people instead of to the most devoted people. And when you turn your back on your core audience, your numbers are going to decline very sharply every time you are not throwing. So yeah, your numbers look great right now because you have the Travis Scotts and you have all these other things, and you're getting all these people who don't give a shit about wrestling going, what's going on with wrestling? Let me tune in and take a look. And they'll stay for a little bit, and then they're going to get bored of the flashy new thing, and as soon as something else cool comes along, they're going to go to it, and now you just lost all of them, and you're going to go, well, we still have our core audience, thank God, but now you've pissed everybody off, and now I've genuinely gotten to the point where I almost regret starting this podcast, and the only reason I'm continuing it is because I get to spend time with Destiny, and we didn't get that outside of this, and it's just such bullshit that how quickly I've had a majority of my love. I was so excited to start this podcast going into WrestleMania 41. I called Destiny up. I said, it's the perfect time. wrestling has never been hotter. Like, let's get together, let's do this, and let's have a lot of fun getting to not only talk about wrestling currently, but talk about the golden days of wrestling. And I went back last week and I did a watch along to ECW One Night Stand 2006, which was the infamous Rob Van Dam, John Cena WWE Money in the Bank cash in there, and also Rey Mysterio versus Sabu, which was the reason I watched the event, was in memoriam to Sabu there. And just watching the state of WWE back then versus the state it is in now, and how there wasn't a cut to commercial, how there wasn't ad sponsorship everywhere, how the ring mat was actually the ring mat with the ECW logo dead set in the middle, how the product was just allowed to be the product, and how passionate the fans were, and how nowadays that passion's gone, and it's because WWE and TKO are sucking the life out of everybody who watches these shows, who want to love and care about the product, and you are turning all of them away because, and you could do celebrity appearances correctly. Mike Tyson was phenomenal. Mr. T was great. Ronda Rousey, when you brought her in, was so impactful. And there are times and there are places where celebrity endorsements friggin' work. But when you have a moment that happened with John Cena finally turning heel for the first time in his career, and fucking for some reason Travis Scott is there, what the fuck are we doing? John Cena capturing his historic 17th World Championship, and for some reason it's because of Travis Scott? It sucks the love and passion that I have out of this out of me, and I know a lot of fans would agree with that. So I'll pass it over to Destiny to kind of talk about her final thoughts about how these celebrity appearances have been affecting her. However, I will say, give me Vanessa Hudgens in the crowd every day of the week. Fucking love Vanessa Hudgens. She's amazing.
100%. Well, that is, like you said, a celebrity appearance gone right. Her, Macaulay Culkin, even Seth Green. I'm not even mad at the Seth Green back in the day. So I have to say I'm really glad you said something, because obviously I don't regret doing this podcast, because it gives me an opportunity to spend time with my best friend in the whole wide world and my favorite person. And like you said, we don't really get that anymore. From all of our time in college watching pay-per-views together and going to dinner and talking about what happened on Raw and SmackDown and talking about our favorite matches and our favorite superstars and our favorite books and our favorite everything. It's really bringing me back to the good old days. Unfortunately, I mean, I didn't even know if I wanted to do the podcast this week because, I mean, like I said, I didn't watch Raw this week. And I didn't even want to look up the results or pay attention to it, because I didn't want to give WWE more engagement, because that's how they're thriving, because everybody is choosing to still pay attention and still click on, because they want to know if something is going to happen. They want to know if R-Truth will come back. They want to be informed constantly, especially after situations like all of these releases, R-Truth especially being so involved in the main event scene, and how they're funneling in record-breaking money, all this cash, and they're blowing it out their butthole at people that don't need it nor deserve it. You also touched on people not caring about wrestling, and yet here we are with Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura backstage, when Tom has been very vocal about his hatred for wrestling and wrestling fans. He said that wrestling is fucking stupid, and so is anybody that watches it. And yet here you are, seeing an opportunity for a money grab, and you have him backstage with the War Raiders, somebody that has actively shat on your product for years. Are you kidding me? Why are we watching? Why are any of us paying attention to this product anymore when we're actively being insulted every single week on weekly episodic television by these people that have no business being there? It's absolute bullshit. There are people like me in August who are devoted to this product and devoted to this company and devoted to the superstars. And it's in our bones at this point. This is what we love the most. This is what brought us together. And honestly, even if neither of us watched wrestling anymore, we would still be best friends. He would still be my favorite person alive. You eliminate wrestling from the picture, he's still going to be my go-to best friend in the entire world. That will never, ever change. He's just that genuinely wonderful person that I absolutely love with all my heart. And I hate that I'm getting emotional about this, but it's like, I can't even watch the product anymore. I don't want to look up results because I don't want them to get money off of my obsession. This is something that I love. This is something that brought us together. And this is something that my dad and I share and my dad and I love. And they're taking that away from us and they're spitting in our faces and saying we're idiots. I'm so sick and tired of it. And I really, really wish for better. This TKO merger has been the absolute worst thing possible for WWE. It was a mistake, and I was really excited for it, and I wish that I had seen where this was going, especially with the merger, because we all know that UFC is nothing more than a walking advertisement for whoever's going to throw money at them. And now it's the same thing for WWE. And anybody that truly cares about the product is leaving. I know John says that he's leaving because it's time to hang up his boots, but also, I mean, he's been hanging around for how many years, doing 1 appearance a year, 2 appearances a year? He could have kept that up forever. There's a reason he's walking away now. And it's time for us as fans to step up and demand better from our product, or we just need to stop watching. Because there's no reason for us to be watching right now with everything that they're doing. It's heartbreaking, and I hate it.
Yeah, and this ultimately ties in with my biggest pet peeve here is CM Punk said it best when he said Vince McMahon is going to make money despite himself, and TKO is going to do the same thing because they're going to keep bringing in new people who have never seen wrestling, who don't have passion, and just who have I wonder what this is. Oh, there's a Fortnite tie-in. Let me check this out because I'm 12 years old and this is what I care about. And they're not going to give a shit as long as those numbers are in the green, and those numbers are going to keep being in the green. And so that is why there's no light at the end of the tunnel for me. There's no... And it pisses me off. And what pisses me off even worse, 1996, WWE was stale. It was probably the worst television it has been. But there was so much good stuff, but it was because of the talent themselves. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, they were working, Scott Hall, they were working some of the best, The Undertaker, they were working some of the best work you have ever seen character-wise, and you had on the cusp right behind them Triple H, Steve Austin, The Rock, Mankind, all coming in, all ready to light a fire under the product, and it was the top holding it back. It was Vince McMahon saying, no, we need to appease to the sponsors, we need to do this, we're family friendly, we need to do this. And because of that, because it took him 2 years to see that, WWE is widely regarded as the biggest failure it has ever been from 1996 to 1998, which, as y'all know, that is when my GOAT was at the top. That is when Shawn Michaels was champion, and because of the management perspective on what the product should be then, even though they were wrong, and Shawn was right, Shawn is widely regarded as one of the worst draws of all time. And you mark my words right now, in 10 years' time, Seth Rollins is going to suffer the same fate. Because Seth Rollins is ascending to the top of the card right now when all this bullshit is going on, and I guarantee the business is going to go in the toilet. And a change either is never going to come, or they're finally going to open their eyes and they're going to see 2 or 3 years from now when Seth Rollins' time in the main event spot is over. And looking back on it without that perspective of living in the moment, people are going to look and say, well, that's because Seth Rollins wasn't a draw. And it pisses me off worse than anything because fuck me sideways with a rake. Seth Rollins can have my goddamn money. He's that good. I'm not saying Seth Rollins fuck me sideways with a rake. Nobody take that out of context. I was just saying, like, figure it out, people. Figure it out. Regardless, WWE and TKO are going to make money despite themselves, and I'm really worried this is never going to turn around because there's nobody to stand in their way. WWE had to change or they were going out of business. AEW is not that big, and AEW is never going to be that big because Tony Khan is going to lose money despite himself. And so, unless Tony Khan suddenly has an epiphany and goes, oh shit, maybe I should make sense when booking wrestling, which could be a hot take all in itself, and maybe one day I'll talk about it. Ultimately, WWE there's no competition for them. There's no reason why they need to change their formula because nobody is going to come in and make them change their formula. And so it sucks, but I think this is what wrestling is going to be for now until it fizzles out and dies. Sponsorships. You're welcome. Which brings out, this video is sponsored by Pink Room Studios. Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pink Room Studio Productions is providing all of my equipment, from my microphone to my lighting and everything in between. I'm coming to you from the Pink Room Studio Productions studio itself. We have our own wrestling themed wall-to-wall room with championships and memorabilia all over the place. I will give you guys a tour once it is officially finished, but for now, make sure that you are tuning in weekly. We'll probably be doing a lot more episodes focused on the past and our favorite matches and the greatest moments in certain genres, so make sure you comment down below. Tell us, what do you want us to talk about? Do you want us to talk about ECW? Do you want us to talk about WCW? Do you want us to talk about OMG moments, our favorite finishing maneuvers? You name it, we'll talk about it. We can do countdowns. We can do, lost WWE Network content. We can talk former NXT. We can talk whatever you guys want. It doesn't have to be focused on the current product. So you guys let us know down below what more you want. And until then, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Make sure you are an organ donor on your driver's license. Be sparkly and be you. And just enjoy wrestling and have fun.